Hey guys, BrandonioProductions here, and welcome to this video. In this video I will be discussing how to use dictionaries in VB.net in order to sort multitudes of information. So I've actually been getting a lot of requests and different topic posts on BP forums about how to handle certain things such as handling credit card filters, handling spam or not spam, swear word filters, any sort of filter or multiple storage definition. But the problem is most people don't know about dictionaries, and dictionaries is exactly what they need in order to actually accomplish what they're doing. So in this video I'm going to discuss how to use dictionaries and what they're all about. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I'm actually just going to want to delve into the code here just to create a new dictionary to show you guys what it's all about. So when the form loads, I'm just going to dim dic as new dictionary. And, well, I'm just going to follow good style here as dictionary. And then we get to suggest two things, or specify two things when creating a dictionary. First of all, we need to specify the T key and the T value, so the key and the value. Now, one thing about a dictionary is it's appropriately named, because if you go ahead and open up a dictionary, you'll see that there's multiple words, and with each word there's a definition. So for a perfect example, I'm just going to use that dictionary's example in order to demonstrate what we're doing. So we're going to store a string of string. So although this may seem confusing at first, all this means is that we're creating a new dictionary where the keys are strings and the value of those keys are strings. Now we're going to want to make sure that we make this a new dictionary so we can actually do stuff to it. So we're going to reiterate that it's going to be of string. And now we're going to actually go ahead and operate with it. So there's a couple cool functions with the dictionary object. The first thing that is most commonly used is the add function. So we're just going to say dic.add, and so now we need to specify a key and a value. Now since we're actually building a dictionary here, I'm just going to specify a random word and its meaning. So the key is going to be table, and the value, which is supposed to be the object's meaning, is going to be an object that normally has 4 legs and is used to place things on top of. And there we go. We've created our first dictionary object. And we've actually made an entry inside of this dictionary. Now we can actually add multiple things, so we can just type dic.add, and then now I'm going to specify keyboard. Definition of keyboard is the thing you are currently typing on. So now we've got essentially 2 entries inside of our dictionary. Now there are several other functionalities of the dictionary as well. For example, if we would like to actually remove a word from the dictionary, we can just say dic.remove, and then all we need to specify is the word that we want to remove. So I can remove table from the dictionary if I'd like. And this also returns a boolean, so you can check to see if the object was actually removed. So if dic.remove is true, then we can say message box, the object has been removed. However, if that does not occur, we can say the object has not been removed. Now, there are, of course, a lot of functions that actually come with the dictionary object itself. However, there are a few that you're going to be needing on a daily basis. So, for example, if you want to scroll through all of the words in a dictionary, and you actually want to take all those words and message box them out with their meanings, you can go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to get rid of this statement here that removes table, because we are going to need 2 words to do this. So we're going to say for each key as string in dic.keys. So the keys are as you remember, when we created the dictionary, we had to specify a key and then a value. So the keys are actually the words inside the dictionary. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to scroll through each key within the dictionary, so each word. And then we're simply going to say message box and display the word, so key, We're going to display a colon, and then we're going to say dict dot values and or dict dot item rather, and then we need to specify a key, so we have the key, and this gets the corresponding value to the key. So now if we actually run this application, we get our dictionary entries. So we have table, an object that normally has 4 legs and is used to place things on top of, and then it also displays the message box for keyboard, the thing you are currently typing on. Now you can also easily scroll through all of the values within the application by doing for each value as string in dict.values, and then we can simply message box out the value. So we're just going to go ahead and run this application, and after we scroll through our 2 dictionaries, we just get our 2 values back out. Now, one thing about a dictionary is I'm pretty sure that it cannot hold multiple keys that are the same. So for example, yeah, that's right. So you can't have 2 different definitions of the table. The table will simply be overwritten by the latest addition. So if we say dict.add table once again, and then we specify a different definition, so this object is brown, let's just say it's a table made out of wood. Now if we actually message box out all of our dictionary entries, we actually get an error here. So apparently if we try to add something that is already inside of the dictionary, it actually throws an error. So what we can do is, if we want to actually replace the object, we can say no, that's not a functionality. Okay, so yeah, we want to say if dict.contains key, and we're going to say table because we want to insert a definition for table, a new definition for table. Then we are going to want to actually remove the table key and then insert a new one. So we're going to say dict.remove table, and then we're going to say dict.add table, and then this object is brown. And we can, if the dictionary does not contain table, we're just going to say dict.add table, this object is brown. Okay, so now if we actually run this application, you can see that we get the definition of table, this object is brown, and we get the definition of keyboard as the thing we are currently typing on. So dictionaries don't only have to hold strings. Although there is tons of functionality built into the dictionary object, the functionality is really quite simple, and conceptually wrapping your head around it is not that hard. So it's basically just a system of keys and corresponding values. So one popular use of the dictionary is to actually specify some sort of ID number and then a value. So what you can really do is you can we're just going to go ahead and backtrack all this, and we're going to say dim_dict as new or as dictionary, and this is going to be of integer and then a string, and it's going to be a new dictionary of integer and then string. So now what we can actually do is we can specify a certain ID number for our dictionary entries. So let's just say we're running a store and each item has a specific ID number. Now of course we can't have 2 objects with the same ID number, so this dictionary object is actually perfect because we don't want to actually create any 2 items with the same ID number. So we can go ahead and say dict.add, and we're going to create a new ID number as 0, and this object is going to be oranges. And we're also going to add apples, and we're also going to add bananas to our dictionary. So then let's just say the user wants to add another object, and they end up typing an ID number of 1. So we can actually put this all in a try statement which catches all errors, and we can say dict.add 1, and we're going to specify a different object. So let's just say he tries to insert grapes. Now if an error is caught, we can actually say message box this an object with this ID number already exists, and then we can actually specify the actual object that that ID number corresponds to. So dict.item, and then 1 because that's the key that was entered. And then we're just going to close off these parentheses here and close off those. So then if we actually run this application, you can see that an object with this ID number already exists because we've already inserted apples with an ID number of 1, but then we try to insert grapes with an ID number of 1. So it's actually really easy to sync a dictionary with something like a list box if you're trying to create an application that actually handles a store's inventory or something of the like. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a private variable that all of the objects in the form can access, and it's going to be a dictionary that holds like a store functionality like we were just doing. So I'm going to say private inventory as dictionary, and this is going to be, of course, of integer string because we're doing ID numbers and then the object's name. And then when the form actually loads, we're going to want to make sure that inventory is a new dictionary of integer string. So this just makes sure that we can actually add items into the actual dictionary itself. So now what we can do is we can actually start creating some sort of user interface. So we let's just go ahead and have a I really don't know what kind of object to use here. Yeah, let's just go ahead and have a list box here. And this is going to be our list of items. And then we're going to go ahead and have a text box here, which allows us to add an item. So they're going to enter the item here, and then they're going to press this button to add it. Then they're going to go ahead and press this button right here to remove a selected item from the list box. So let's go ahead and start coding this functionality. So what the user is going to type in inside of this actual text box here is an ID number and an object. And they're going to be delineated by a colon. So we can go ahead and get the different parts of this object by separating it by a colon. But the first thing we need to do is actually make sure that the text box actually contains a colon. So if textbox1.text.contains a colon, then we're good to go. However, if it does not, we can say message box, you have not entered the correct syntax. So then we can say dim ID as integer equal to cint text, which I know I'm going kind of fast here, but that's because I'm running out of time. But cint simply casts an object to an integer, so we're converting a textual object into an integer. So textbox1.text.split. So we're going to divide it into two parts that are separated by the colon, and we're going to get the first part because that's the ID number, and then we're going to dim the object name as string equal to textbox1.text.split, and then we're going to go ahead and get the last section of the actual text. So now the first thing we're going to want to do is we're actually going to want to check to make sure this object doesn't already exist in the dictionary. So we're going to say if inventory, so if inventory.contains key ID, then we're going to dim a message box as new message box, and it's going to, well, as message box. I forget how to do this. Oh, okay. Dim a result as new dialog result, and then we're going to specify as dialog result, and then we're going to say result equals message box dot show, and we're going to say there is already an object with that ID number, and we're going to specify in parentheses the object, so inventory dot item ID, and would you like to replace it? So one thing I'm going to do right here is I'm simply going to ask the user if they want to replace the object if it already exists. And right here I'm going to actually hit an underscore and get on to the next area. So the caption of this message box is going to be replace. Buttons are going to be yes and no. Icon is going to be none. And that'll just be fine the way it is. So now we're going to say if result equals yes, then we're going to want to replace the object. Replace the object. So we're going to say inventory dot remove. So we're going to remove the ID number, and then we're going to say inventory dot add the ID number, and then we're going to go ahead and add the object name as well. And if the user does not want to replace it, then we are just going to do nothing. However, if the inventory does not actually contain the key, then we can just go ahead and add it right in. And of course, once all of this is done, we are going to actually want to add this object to the list box. So listbox1.items.add. And then we're going to say actually, we can just make a new sub here. Public sub refresh listbox. This is not the most efficient way to do it. However, it'll make it much easier. So we're going to just clear the items here. Listbox1.items.clear. And then we're going to actually want to add all of the inventory items into the list box. So for each key as integer in inventory.keys rather, we are going to say listbox1.items.add key, and then add a nice colon, and then we're going to say inventory.item key, and that should populate our list box with all of the items inside of the actual inventory itself. So the final thing that we actually want to do is we actually want to go ahead and be able to remove items with this button. So if they're actually selecting a list box item, and if that list box item contains a colon, we can go ahead and actually delete the item because of the specified key. So we're actually going to want to say if listbox1.selected item is nothing, then message box you must first select an item. So this is if the user does not actually have a list box item selected there. However, if they do, then we can say, no, we're just going to assume that it will contain a colon, even though that might not be the case. But we're just going to say dim ID as integer, and we're going to do the same thing we did before. cnt listbox1 dot selected item dot toString dot split by the colon, and then we're just going to get the first part of it, and then we're going to say inventory.remove from the ID number that was currently selected, and then we're going to want to refresh the list box. Now I just remembered we forgot to refresh the list box up here, so if the text contains a colon, then we're going to refresh the list box, and now we're good to go. We've just created our own little inventory application using a dictionary. So if we actually start debugging here, I'm just going to enter a new item into the store, so I'm going to give it the ID of 0, and it's going to be called apples. So if I press button 1 here, it adds it to the list box. That's our refresh list box method going. And now if I type in the ID number of 1, oranges, it actually adds that to the list box. Now keep in mind that what it's actually doing is clearing the list box and then adding all of the items back into it. But it's doing it so fast that we can't see that. So now I'm going to add a few more items: bananas, grapes, apricots. Now, say I got grapes and kiwis confused, and I actually wanted to enter kiwis with an ID number of 3. So I want to say we have a new object in the store. It's kiwis. They look like grapes, so why not give it the same ID number, correct? So let's go ahead and press button 1 here. But it pops up with this little warning. There's already an object with that ID number, and then it tells us that it's grapes with that ID number. Would you like to replace it? Now if we actually say no, nothing happens. However, if we say yes, you can see that the list box and the inventory actually gets replaces grapes with kiwis. So this functionality works out really well. Now we can actually also remove items, so we can press button, if we select bananas here and press button 2, we actually just remove the bananas. Now this actually opens up a space inside the inventory, and we can now create a new object with the ID number of 2, and we're just going to insert the grapes back in because it was a little mistake. So as you can see, everything is now sorted out, and we've got 5 objects in the store, and they've all got their own ID numbers. So thanks for watching this tutorial on a basic definition on how to use dictionaries. In my next VisualBasic.net tutorial, I'll actually be discussing advanced applications of dictionaries and how you can hold complicated objects within a dictionary object itself. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you guys in a future tutorial. Peace.